Welcome back to Shots in the Walk-In. My name is Renee.
And my name is Anna.
All right, and then we've got today a very special guest, Linda Derschang. Welcome to the podcast,
Welcome,
Linda.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're really glad that you took the time. I know you're probably very busy, as we all are these days.
Yeah. Well,
you
not
know,
all of us.
navigating this weird world.
Yeah, we're all navigating it, yes.
That's the truth. Yeah. We usually like to start off our lovely podcast here called Shots in the Walk-In with a little shot. Renee,
we call it a safety meeting.
Yeah, we do. We call it a safety meeting. Renee, what are we working with here?
We are drinking. We're going live at we're not live, but we're at Paquitos again. So you're going to hear some background noise, and because we're at Paquitos, we're shooting El Jimador Silver Tequila. It's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Okay.
Cheers.
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 Oh man, it's early.
I was gonna say we have recorded a handful of times at 10 a.m. noon. It's about noon 30 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we decide to forgo the shot or feel it's too early or whatever. But
we're going for it.
Renee was just ready today. She was like, "This is happening."
It's afternoon.
Listen, this is exactly.
It is afternoon.
It's fine.
Yeah, it is.
It's Monday.
It is
It's
Monday.
like, why not?
Yeah, we're just having fun with it.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Absolutely. So you've been a business owner in Capitol Hill for a very long time.
Very long.
Yes.
If you live in Seattle and you're not a fucking moron, you've been to one of Linda's businesses. Probably most notable is Linda's Tavern, which we were talking.
Yes.
We both separately had our 21st birthday at Linda's Tavern.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
isn't that
amazing.
funny?
Yeah.
It's a funny coincidence.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know how it came out. I think, Chris Jones hit us up and he was like, I have the perfect person for you to have on your podcast. And we were like, no way, that sounds amazing. And so, of
he's
course,
the best.
He's the best. Yeah, we just love him.
He
Me too.
he hit us up and it was so sweet. He was like, I just think that what you guys are doing is really, really cool. Trying to scheme ways to figure out how to be on your podcast again. But also here's some people that I think would be really, really great and you need to talk to Linda. I was like, oh, wow, okay, we should.
Yeah.
And we both have been working in in Seattle and specifically the Hill for a long, long time. But we've never met. So this is I'm very excited to be able to sit down with you.
Well, I'm really happy to be here.
Yes.
And I have been on the Hill for a really long time.
Yeah.
I actually opened my first business on Capitol Hill in 1987.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Okay, and what was that?
It was a little clothing store. My first business in Seattle, my very first business I opened in 1984, and it was like a little rock and roll clothing store called Fashion Disaster.
I love it.
I was in a band with, I was in a few different bands, but I was in this particular band, the drummer was as interested in clothes as I was.
Okay.
And no one in Denver sold Creepers or Dr. Martens or Manic Panic hair dye, bondage pants, all the stuff we wanted. Mm-hmm. So we decided to open a store selling all that stuff. And then...
So this was in Colorado?
Yeah, in Denver.
Got it.
And there was a record store called Wax Trax that I'd been working at, and I was also waiting tables and going to school. I was an art major, sort of like, I guess the term would have been slacker, except that...
Well, that's a lot of things. That doesn't sound like a slacker.
Right. But I guess it was like sort of when you're just doing a little of this and a little of that, and except I was really busy. I was doing, 2 jobs, school, band, and then I guess it was in 1986. By 1986, a lot of my friends were moving away from Denver, moving to New York, San Francisco, LA.
To the cooler cities.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
And so I started feeling like just kind of a loser. Like, what am I doing? Staying in Denver? No one's staying in Denver.
Sure, yeah.
But I loved New York, and I still love New York. But I didn't want to move to a bigger city. Also, there were stores like mine already in bigger cities.
Sure, yeah.
So I was looking for a smaller city, and some friends of mine had been on tour in Seattle and said, you should check out Seattle. So I came up to Seattle, January 1987, met some great people, found a spot on Broadway that I rented for a small store.
Yeah.
Went back to Denver, wrapped some things up, because I already had 2 businesses in Denver at that
wow.
point. And I was in my mid-20s.
I was just going to ask, I was going to say, that's pretty impressive for such a young person.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just happened that way. And without a grand plan, the plan was to, after we opened the store, and it was, we just really enjoyed it, and then opened a coffee shop with this friend of ours. The next thing was going to be a bar. So I guess, mid-'80s, creating a lifestyle brand.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That term wasn't around then. Calling yourself a creative?
Yeah.
No. That term wasn't, that was...
You're a trailblazer.
Introduced.
Yeah. I love it.
But it was more about just doing things that we thought were interesting
Right.
and cool and
Yeah.
fun to do
Right.
than anything else. So anyway, I moved to Seattle, and I had heard that the summers here were just beautiful
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they are.
Yeah.
to you guys. But do you love 85, 90-degree weather?
I love...
She doesn't. I do.
I love I can do 80.
Uh-huh.
If I'm like on the ocean
Uh-huh.
and I can be in my swimsuit and have a cold beer, bring it on.
Uh-huh.
But
Fair.
in the city,
No.
80 is my max.
So
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's what happened. My store was open. May was pretty nice, but still not like spring
Yeah.
that I was used to from the East Coast and Denver. And then January happened, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, like
on?
what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people kept saying, hold on, it gets better.
Right.
Yeah. For a
So,
month.
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, 4th of July, come on, baby.
Yeah.
When is this going to happen?
Yeah.
It's like mid-July, and it was 80 degrees. The first day, people are like, woohoo.
Yeah.
Second day, this is fine. But the third day, people were coming in my store going, oh my God, it's so hot. I
Yeah.
hate this. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
wish it would rain. And I had this huge aha moment of, oh my God, they don't actually like what I think of as
Oh, yeah.
summer.
Right.
They don't like hot weather.
Yeah.
I think I've just made a terrible mistake. What have I done?
Yeah.
And, but at that time you really couldn't research. What is, like,
Yeah, there's no
there was no
Google, right?
online.
Yeah.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah.
So I was just taking the word of all these people that were
Yeah.
like, oh no, you'll love the weather. It's great in the summer. It's great. And so, yes, it is sometimes, but we certainly have some summers that aren't, super warm.
Or too warm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, or too warm. And especially in this part of, I mean, when it gets like 90 in the city, and there are a lot of places in Seattle that don't have
We're not equipped
air
for that.
conditioning
Yeah.
or anything to kind of cool you off a little bit. The lakes get very crowded. It can be a tough one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a true Northwesterner.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because no one complains about weather the way a Northwest person complains about weather.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
but-
like ridiculous.
And I'm the opposite because I'm complaining because it's not hot enough.
Right.
yeah.
And
yeah.
so, so anyway, I made my adjustments. I know when to travel. Like, I'll go to New York in the summer.
There you
and
go.
friends are like, what are you doing?
I was gonna say that sounds hot.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, it's fine. It works for me, but we're all different.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
you thrive in different places. It's
Right.
fine.
And today, look at this. We've got this.
It's a
it's
gorgeous
a
day today.
glorious day.
It is beautiful.
I was like, this is so. It's not super common to have beautiful days like this in January.
Well,
Yeah,
Like,
it's sunshine.
we're really
It's gorgeous.
lucky.
Yeah.
The weekend I came up here in January of '87.
Yeah.
It was like this for 4
Oh,
days.
Really?
no.
Yes. So that's what happened.
So-
So I really had no idea.
Yeah.
So
of
really,
the weather.
We have Seattle freak, weird, warm January days to thank for you coming to our city.
Exactly. No kidding. Well, here's a few more for you. Just
Yeah.
full circle there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that would be quite the surprise, especially. Yeah, I mean, that's very true that once you get past 4th of July, that's the thing around here.
Yeah,
Get past
yeah.
4th of July, and then you get some sunshine.
Yeah.
So at least you made it that far, and then you got a
I
little
did.
sunshine. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I did, absolutely. And yes, their summers can be really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember my favorite time in the summer, like, well, this is all, I haven't done this in a million years, but when we were like early 20s, we both worked at
yes.
Havana next door. And you work your butt off, and there was never a real functioning AC in there, and you crowd a bunch of people in there, so you're just absolutely
hot.
drenched at the end of the night on a summer night with your sweat and other people's sweat. It's just disgusting.
Wow. Yeah.
Hot.
And then we would pile in our cars and go down to Madison Beach on Lake Washington and jump. Everybody just like took all their clothes off and ran and jumped in the lake, and it was like the best feeling in the world. It was just like, and it's packed. Madison was
I have
always
heard that.
packed.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
it would
heard
be
that.
3:30 in the morning
Yeah.
on a Saturday. It would be packed down there, and someone would have a bottle of whiskey or whatever
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, you know. And it was always so fun. Those types of things are definitely kind of little gems that I really appreciate about this area and this
Yeah.
neighborhood and this city. It's just like magical moments like that for sure.
Yeah.
Such fun memories. I would never do that again now, but
Well,
yeah,
we go
that
home
was
and go to
really-
bed now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not up at 3:30 in the
No,
morning.
certainly not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It was fun though. Yeah, different times.
different
Yeah.
times for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got here. You started a clothing business, and then
I had this. I opened a store called Basic on Broadway.
Called Basic?
It was called Basic
is
because
it clothing?
Yeah.
Oh
and,
my God.
And the reason I called it Basic, which Basic means something completely different now.
Yeah.
I called it Basic because my other store had been called Fashion Disaster, and I was sort of over having to, the jokes about that. I was like, okay, I just want something really simple. And so if your basics were tight black jeans or fishnets,
Yes,
leather
got it.
jackets, purple hair dye, like a lot of us,
Yeah.
it was the store for you. So it was kind of a weird name, but those were the basics. And,
Yeah.
and at that time, you couldn't get tight black jeans, at the Gap.
Sure.
The-
H&M down the way.
No, there weren't. I mean, there were very few stores that sold them, and I sold thousands of pairs of tight black jeans and.
I'm sure in this neighborhood during that time it was
And
just the
Dr.
most welcome
Martens.
store.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain used to buy his colored hair dye from us.
Nice.
That's too funny.
Tons of people and bands came in and bought Dr. Martens.
Yeah.
And, it was just, Seattle was smaller then. It was the
Yeah.
late 80s, and so.
Yeah.
But by I guess it was about 1992, I was thinking about making a change, and I wasn't really sure what it was. And a lot more stores had opened that were doing the same thing that I was doing. And there was one fellow that had a store down the street, and he finally got someone to sell him Dr. Martens. He'd been trying for a while.
Yeah.
Because, you could sort of protect what you were selling
Sure.
by, because they simply didn't want to have every store selling them, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So he bought a bunch of Dr. Martens, and he marked them down to $69.99, and he
Oh.
put big signs in his windows. And at that time, they started at $75 and went
Sure.
up. So he was even selling 14 whole Dr. Martens that would have been, I don't know, $90 at that time for $69.99. He was trying to put me out of business.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And
I was gonna say that's a
Isn't that
a
the
good
Amazon
deal.
model?
Yeah, no kidding.
So
Seriously.
that was and that was the first time. That was the first time somebody seriously did something to me in business.
Yeah.
There had been little things before, but I would say, the majority of my battles in business have been with men.
Yeah.
And so he did pretty much put me out of business. And it was really awful.
I'm sure. Did
But-
you know each other personally at all, or had you like just formed a relationship of being neighbors, or did you know?
I knew lots of people on the street, but
Yeah.
he was not particularly well liked.
That sounds like kind of a jerk. Yeah.
Yes, I knew him, but I knew him, but we were definitely not particularly friendly.
Sure.
So, around the same time, Sub Pop had gone from a little label to the label that had Nirvana
Yeah.
and had started making a little super cool label.
Yeah.
You know, that was actually nationally known and had great bands, and but you know, they didn't have huge resources. But after Nirvana, you know, things changed.
Yeah,
So-
no kidding.
and Jonathan Poneman, one of the founders of Sub Pop, was a really dear friend and still is a really dear friend.
Yeah.
And he contacted me, I want to say it was the beginning of 1993. And I was in desperate states with my store because of this, like what we were calling the Dr. Martin Wars.
Yeah. Gosh, exactly what it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really awful. I was a single mother. I had no child support. I didn't ever make much money from the store.
Yeah.
It wasn't super lucrative, but I loved it.
Sure.
And
it was your
so-
community and your,
Yeah.
it was important to you. Yeah.
And I didn't have family here, and I mean, it was a really, really scary time for me, especially being, you know, at that point I was, I don't know, 34 and a parent, and so Jonathan said, Bruce and I have been talking about opening a bar. What do you think? And I think it's a great idea.
Yes,
and he said,
yeah.
why don't we all do it together? So
Awesome.
That's how it happened.
that's how it happened. And so we started looking, and I was going to keep my store at first, and but things were getting worse, and I started looking for spaces. And I found a space, I don't know, I think it was in September of 1993, signed the lease in October. We started construction, and we opened in February of 1994.
Rad.
And that was Linda's Tavern.
Linda's Tavern.
So I closed my store at the end of 93, and sadly, I wasn't able to keep it going, and we opened Linda's, and I mean, within a few months, both Bruce and Jonathan were like, we should do something else. I'm like, hold on, hold on.
You're like, I need to take a breath.
Well, for one, I need to learn this industry.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I had waited tables when I was younger.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my very first job was at Baskin Robbins.
No way.
Hey,
really?
that's food service. That counts.
Exactly. I mean, I was 15.
Yeah.
And because we were under 16, this guy loved, the owner, they were franchises, right?
You're right.
The owner loved hiring people that were 15 because instead of $2.35 an hour, which was minimum wage then, he only had to pay us $1.10 an hour.
Okay.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
listen, mister.
So you age out at 16.
Yeah. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think there were a few 16-year-olds, but there were a bunch of my friends, a bunch of 15-year-olds working there.
Yeah.
I only worked there for one summer, and it was so fun.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when you're that age and it's your first job, you just
Yeah.
get this little paycheck. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. I don't care where you're working.
Yeah,
you know?
it was.
And you probably gained some arm muscles
Oh,
doing
yes.
that, right?
Well,
Yeah.
only in my right arm.
Yeah. Your scooping arm.
My scooping
Just
arm.
one big buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
so you waited tables at one time before you actually opened the bar? So that was kind of your
Yeah,
intro to the
so-
restaurant industry?
So
or?
in my early 20s, I had waited tables.
Okay.
So I'd, you know, worked retail, then waited tables, worked in the record store.
Sure.
You know, you just sort of piece it together,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I'd waited tables in a number of different places.
Yeah.
But then I'd had my store for 10 years between Denver and the store in Seattle. So,
It's not like you were new to business. It was just
and
a
I'd
different
never
industry.
worked in a bar.
Yeah.
I'd just been in a lot of them.
Yeah, sure. Hey.
And so,
Field research, that's fine.
Yeah. Important.
so, you know, and it was I knew it was just going to be beer, but at that time taverns were really common.
Yeah.
It was rare to have hard liquor, and there were all these rules around hard liquor that you had to sell a certain percentage of food.
Right.
And most taverns didn't have table service. A lot of them took cash only. So when Linda's opened, I think we had 6 beers on tap, and
Oh, wow.
I don't think we took credit cards. We didn't have servers.
Sure.
So,
Yeah,
you
that
just
was it.
kept it real simple.
Yeah, why the heck not?
You keep it basic.
Oh, there we go. I mean, why not? Yeah, and there was, during that time, there was definitely a lot of places kind of around Capitol Hill that were, now kind of famous. Is that the thing?
Well, Mo had, the Comet was there. It was
Yeah.
very different than it is now. Super divey, and I had friends that worked there. And Mo had just opened in January of 1994, which is now New Mo.
right.
And there were a couple of gay bars.
Yeah.
There was a bar it had been called Ernie Steele's now, and then changed to Eileen's that was on Broadway, but there really weren't that many places. And there were
Yeah.
a lot of people that said to me, "Oh my God, you're opening a bar just a few blocks from the Comet? Do you think it's going to do well?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
So
Absolutely
funny
it
to think
is.
about how many bars are now on
my
this in this corridor.
I know. And
A zillion.
I actually made a point of hiring, only one person who'd ever bartended or beer tended
Yeah.
before.
Sure.
The rest of us had not.
Okay.
And at that time, it was 1994, it was a really different time. So one of the things that was happening as we were under construction is that people continued to ask me, and I knew they were asking the construction guys, like they poke their heads in and
Yeah.
say, "Is this going to be a bar?" And so I coached them, all the employees that I'd hired, and any friends, to say the same thing, which was when people said, "So it's going to be a bar?" Yes. Next question was always, 100% of the time, is it a gay bar or a straight bar?
Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And I would say, yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Just yes.
Yeah.
And I taught these construction guys same thing. And I said, we went over it and
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
Just yes. And then they would say yes. So it's a gay bar and a straight bar. Well, then it's a straight bar and a gay bar. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And these guys just they were so cute.
Couldn't wrap their head around it.
Well, the construction guys were just like, they would say, I would hear them. They
Yeah.
would just do this, and they
They were on board, yeah.
got to be a thing. But at that time, Rebar was the only bar that was really kind of mixed.
Yeah.
The Comet wasn't. The Comet wasn't mixed.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were going to throw somebody out.
Sure,
but
yeah.
Bars weren't mixed then. You were
Yeah.
a gay bar or a straight bar, it's 1994. That's not that long ago.
No.
So Linda's was, very mixed, and there were not that many women that bartended anywhere. Well,
believe
certainly
it.
there were no women that owned bars,
Yeah.
and there were barely any women bartenders. So half of my staff, my staff was super mixed. And again, remember, I didn't have to hire people that had any experience, because I'm like, how hard can it be to pour
You're like,
beer?
we're pouring beers here. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
So I just wanted to hire, we're throwing a party. I wanted to hire fun
Right.
people.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I had to close down my store. So I think there were 2 employees that came with me from the store. One
Oh,
of
cool.
the women from the store ended up buying Rebar a few years later.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. She
great.
and she was
That's
a
awesome.
big DJ at the time, called MC Queen Lucky,
Okay.
Carla, and she worked for me a total of 13 years.
Wow.
And then owned Rebar, and I don't even know how long she owned it for. I think she sold it a few years ago. I had this other guy named Mario Diaz that he was so awesome. He worked at this sex store downtown that sold you know, I don't know, close to drag queens, but also, you know, it was a sex shop.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and he was a super fun friend, and so he worked at Linda's. He'd never bartended before either. He ended up in New York owning bars there.
Oh, wow.
And
awesome.
he's a promoter in LA now. Who else? There were some people that worked at Sub Pop that worked there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's like just Sub Pop's association would have been pretty fucking big, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that had to have brought
Yeah.
a lot of people in.
Yeah, and you know, I knew a lot of people from my store, and I used to throw parties every year for my store, once or twice a year, big parties. And I
Yeah.
would mix people that I knew from like my, you know, rock scene with all the people I knew that were more like, I don't know, gay, dance club, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and mix them all together in these big parties.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Bruce and Jonathan really liked, is how I mixed people that didn't necessarily always mix. And
Right.
You were a great party host.
Yeah.
I like a lot of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, let's just put people together.
Yeah.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, Seattle's also a city of, well, it's a city of homebodies, right?
Yeah.
And it can be really siloed between different groups of people and
Sure.
types of people. And then I would say it was much worse.
Yeah.
You know, and so when Linda's opened, it really was, you know, it was different than the Comet. It was a different vibe. And remember, it was pretty much all men that worked at the Comet, and bars
Yeah.
then were pretty male dominated, right? And so I think that was really cool for a lot of women to see women working there.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
who the heck doesn't want to have a
Yeah.
lovely lady
Well,
bartender?
now it's
Yeah.
very normal.
Sure.
But it really wasn't then.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank God it's normal.
Yeah, no kidding.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's great though. That's super cool and awesome that you were able to even just bring people that you had employed at the store and, you know, kind of
Yeah.
bring them forth in your journey and help them with theirs. That's rad.
Well,
Yeah.
and I also did not want to hire, again, remember it was mostly men. So if I'm looking for experienced bartenders, they were going to be men.
Yeah.
And I had never poured a beer in my life. So what are they
It's
going
not
to
that
say?
hard.
Well, I know. But if my whole team is made up of men, and I'm one of the only women that owns a bar in this city, do you think that they're going to be really happy about that? I'm sorry, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the beer reps were really challenging. They wouldn't sell me beer.
Really?
Seriously.
So that was my big challenge. And it's not that, I mean, but you know, just think about it. Like,
Yeah.
so this woman hires you, and you're a guy who's been bartending for a few years, and she's never poured a beer. And I was working there. It wasn't like I was going to go, okay, you guys run it, I'm gone.
Right.
Your hands on.
You know, I had been a boss long enough already to know I don't even want to deal with this. I want to deal with, one, I want a super diverse group of people working for me, but I also want a whole bunch of people who have never done it before, and let's learn how to pour beer together.
Yeah.
And
have some fun.
And have some fun.
Support each other. I mean.
and not have to be mansplained about what I'm doing wrong in owning my bar.
Yeah.
Right? And so anyway, the first week we were open, there two things happened. Well, one, the first night we were really, really busy, and
Perfect.
I had been ordering beer from these different reps that were coming in, and they'd already been asking, and of course they were all men. And the high five and white guys, one of my employees called them.
Yeah, that's kind of hasn't changed.
that
So they're like, so you're the owner? Yeah. So where did you work before? I had a clothing store. So have you ever worked in a bar? No. Well, then how do you own this bar? Well, how did you get the money to open this bar? I'm just like, oh my God. Okay, so we get through that, and I'm trying to order my first orders, and I had a friend, still a friend, Jason Finn, who he worked at
Oh, yeah.
Comet.
I love Jason Finn.
Yeah.
So
He's wonderful. Go
Jason,
ahead.
I remember
he
Jason
is,
Finn,
he's great. And so he was coaching me on how much to order. And so he said, you know, he had given me, you know, an idea of what to order for the opening week, and so anyway, and remember, I had at a store. So I used to order shoes and hoop earrings and belts and pants and like really elaborate ordering. So how hard is it to order kegs?
Yeah.
For 6 beers, and we had like
Right.
8 beers in bottles and cans.
Right.
And the warm nut bar.
You need that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I couldn't stay out of the cashews. So, so anyway, Jason would give me an idea. You're probably going to want 3 kegs of this and 4 kegs of this, to get you through. You're opening on a Wednesday to get you through the weekend because they won't deliver again until Monday or whatever.
Right.
Because the reps weren't being super helpful.
Sure.
So
Doesn't sound like it. Yeah.
So they're like, well, we can only give you 1 keg of this. I'm like, you don't have more? Well, no, we have more, but you'll only need 1 keg.
Oh my gosh.
And well, we can only give you 1 keg of this. And oh, we can give you a case of this. A case of Bud?
Yeah, that's
Are
not
you
going to do
kidding
anything.
me?
Yeah.
A case? A
What
case
does that
of this? A case of
accomplish? Like, what do you want to make money? Like,
Well,
I'm ordering
it
a
doesn't-
product from you.
No kidding.
It doesn't go bad.
Yeah.
And you're paying cash, right? Or we were writing checks, but
Yeah.
it was going to be apparent if the check was going to bounce or not. They knew that Sub Pop had funded the bar.
Right.
So we have our first night, and I realize I get back in there on Thursday morning, and I'm like, we're never going to make it through the weekend. So I'm calling them and saying, I need more beer. Oh, no, you can't be. I go, no, I need more beer. So begging, get enough to get me, have to make a couple special deliveries. Some of them wouldn't deliver. Get enough beer to make it through Thursday. And I'm like, Friday, I need more beer. Please, give me more beer. I need like 3 kegs of this and 3 kegs of that.
Yeah, I want to give you money, sir.
Like probably, and I mean, now you can be like, okay, fine, I'm going to take my business elsewhere.
No
But I
kidding.
imagine that there wasn't very many.
Right.
It was about 3 weeks of me begging for beer.
Jeez.
And then having to go, which was totally illegal, next door to the corner store and buying cases of beer to resell because they wouldn't give me enough beer. Gosh. And so why did they do that?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, if you were a guy, you would know.
Yeah. Man, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
It went on.
It's unbelievable.
It's believable.
Yeah.
It went on for 3 weeks. And by the 4th week, they started going, oh, wow, Linda, you're really busy. Oh, wow. So, you know how sometimes they give
That stressed me out enough
baseball.
to finish my shot.
Oh, yeah.
You know how sometimes they give you baseball tickets?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yeah, you
Incentives,
know
yeah.
about
I've been
it.
a bar manager a handful
yeah.
of times, so yeah, I am right now. Yeah.
So I think Linda's was open for almost 3 years before I found out.
Oh my
Because they
gosh.
never offered us, never offered us anything. And I was already getting ready to open my 2nd place, and I had this woman named Amanda. She was the one who named her the high-fiving white guys. And,
Well, I like
God
her.
bless you,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah, she sounds great.
and Amanda goes, hey, Linda, so she had started managing while I was working on the Capitol Club, and she said, hey, do you know that we can get tickets to all sorts of sporting events? And I'm like, what? And she said, yeah, like all the other bars get them.
Right.
And I go, but they've never even offered us anything. And she said, well, I'm going to get them for us.
Yeah.
And then I started asking my guy friends that worked at bars or
Yeah.
owned bars. And they're like, of course, what do you mean? They don't give you? No, they didn't.
That's so crazy.
Man.
For our listeners that maybe have not been in management or ownership or dealt with reps before, when you have a liquor or a beer rep, it's a lot of times beer reps, but
Yeah.
they come in and to incentivize their product with your business, they offer you, like a lot of times it's like sports events, but it's also
concert
tastings.
tickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
tons of cool stuff
They'll
come up with.
They'll
yeah.
try to sweet on you and get you to order more of their product, and that's kind of a big and very, very common thing is to offer these incentive
Well, at that time,
programs.
they did to all the men that own bars.
Right, yeah.
My goodness.
yeah.
That's crazy. I mean,
I can go on with
I'm
the
sure.
stories of, yeah.
Man, that's just horrifying to us.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, it's what, 2021 now, and things have changed, and there's all sorts of people in different positions within, bars and restaurants and owning and managing and whatever. And that's just, that's so not that long ago that just seems really crazy.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That just, it's kind of, it's just like a little bit maddening,
Well,
you know?
you have to remember, so this is 1994. In the mid-'80s, women couldn't get mortgages or credit cards unless their husbands co-signed.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the one that changed that.
Ni-
That's the mid 80s. So, you know, and it's really amazing how much has changed, but still we have a very long road ahead.
Yes.
But I think that, you know, for my age, because I'm an okay boomer, I see the differences between you know, 70s, 80s, 90s
Yeah.
to where we are right now, because I was in high school in the 70s, so that was during the, you know, a huge time for feminism. So I started
Yeah.
calling myself a feminist when
Yeah.
I was in high school. By the early 80s, a lot of women, and I'm talking like cool women and indie rock women, you know, that were like in my scene, didn't call themselves feminist. And I would say, what do you mean? Why are you not
Yeah.
calling yourself a feminist? And they're like, oh, Linda, we don't have to anymore. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it was so, I mean, I really feel like it was the male media, because then how many women wrote for newspapers?
Right.
You know, there was a real backlash against feminism and the word feminism, and if you were a feminist, you didn't like men, and there were so many young women that would
Right.
say,
Yeah,
but,
it was
but I like
manhood.
guys,
Yeah.
and I want to wear lipstick, and I'm like, you can.
You can do whatever the hell you want.
You can do that.
Yeah.
But you know, that lasted actually through until about 6 years ago. So I don't know when you both started calling yourselves feminists. 6 years ago? 7
Probably,
years ago?
yeah. I mean,
Probably not as a teenager.
probably, no, honestly, yeah, I feel like that probably lines up pretty decently, honestly.
In 2014, I was at a dinner with some people from Planned Parenthood, and Wendy Davis was the guest of honor. And she had been in the Senate and did a 13-hour filibuster in 2013 to prevent passing a bill that included some really restrictive abortion regulations
Yikes.
for Texas. So she's a real hero
No
Yeah.
kidding.
in the reproductive rights movement. And so anyway, the topic of feminism came up, and people were saying, well, no one's really using that word, and it's gotten a negative connotation. And I remember she said, do you think we need a new word? And I spoke up because I've proudly called myself a feminist since I was probably 15 years old
Yeah.
in, you know, like 1974.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think we need a new word. We need to rebrand this
Yeah.
word.
There
And
you
somebody
go.
said, how? And I said, I have no idea. But I just don't think of it as a bad word. But it's just,
No.
somehow it's got this negative connotation. And interestingly, and I really remember that moment because I thought about it a lot later. And I started asking women after that, do you call yourself a feminist? And I kept hearing, no. Why not? Well, I don't know. I mean, gosh, no one's ever asked me. That
Right.
kept happening over and over. No one's ever asked me. It didn't
Absolutely.
matter if the women were 28 or the women were 45.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I mean, do you think that women should have equal rights to men as men?
Yeah.
You know, or the same rights as men? Well, yeah. Do you think we do have the same rights as men? Are we equal to men? And they're like, no, but you do think we should be. Well, absolutely. I go, oh my God, you're a feminist.
Yes.
You
What do
didn't
you know?
even know. And then it was, well, do you think we have to call ourselves feminists? I'm like,
Sure.
yes, I think we do have to call ourselves until things are more equal. I think we do, and I proudly do. And then, you know, it just started happening, but I don't really know exactly how it started happening. But it was around, this would have been 2014. It was around 2015, 2006. Well, 15 when Hillary was running.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
sure.
and it just naturally, women just started saying, yeah, I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
And proudly calling themselves feminists,
Yeah.
which to me was thrilling. Because
Absolutely.
probably from the early 80s till, you know, around the time of that dinner, I bet I'd asked 100 women, you know, as this topic came up, well, aren't you? Don't you call yourself a feminist? And probably 90% said, well, no, I don't think we need to.
Right.
And there was this feeling of we don't need to, but why? We don't make the same amount of men as
Right.
men for the same jobs. We don't have reproductive freedom for all women.
Yeah.
Is there childcare available?
my gosh.
Like on and on and
Maternity
on.
leave,
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
so anyway, but obviously as a woman having a job that would have been considered, and still to a certain degree is considered in a man's role.
Yes.
Boys Club.
Yeah.
Boys club.
Yeah.
And already coming into it as a feminist,
Yeah.
and then having, those beer reps do that to me.
Oh my God. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't seem that surprising because, people are going to be jerks if they want to be. But I can imagine that you probably ended up hiring and working with a lot of people that were like-minded and were super pumped at your attitude about that kind of a thing,
Did you feel like that kind of gave you some fuel to just like, well, fuck you, I'm going to do this anyway? Like, did that change the
I didn't
course
know
for you
really.
at all?
I didn't know what they were doing, and so I started
Yeah.
asking friends, like, do they only let you have one keg and one case? And my friends
Sure.
that were guys that were either ordering at a bar or
Yeah.
managing or owning were like, no, that's really weird.
Mm.
And that's when I started realizing they were screwing with me. So what did I do? The same thing that most women do that are in my age range is you just go screw it and you move on. And
Yeah.
I didn't make a big fuss about it because, well, what was going to happen?
Yeah.
And I just, then they started treating me nicely and, well, not nicely enough to give me tickets to anything.
Yeah, what the heck?
But,
you wanted to go see the Mariners.
At least I was getting beer.
That was money motivated more than anything, I'm sure, because you were more successful than they anticipated you to be, and then all of a sudden,
Then I was a good account.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, here's another one. PBR. We sold PBR for years when, at one point PBR was just, it wasn't like a hip beer or whatever. I
Right.
don't know what it is
Sure,
yeah.
right now, but
Yeah.
let's just say around, I don't know, it was maybe around maybe around 2000, and they started coming around and trying to get in like divey bars and indie
Yeah,
bars. And,
yeah.
so we put it on. We're selling tons of it. We put it on at King's. I had it at maybe another one of my places. And I kept asking him if I could have a sweatshirt.
Just a PBR sweatshirt?
Yeah, I just wanted a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't wear one now, but
Sure, yeah.
I wanted it then.
Sure.
And this happened when King's opened in 2006.
Okay.
And we had PBR on it first, and and we were one of the top 10 accounts, I believe, in the country, my company.
I believe that.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Still couldn't get that sweatshirt.
No kidding.
So I took it off my
Good for you.
taps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
good.
And they freaked out, and they were talking to my managers going, why, what? And I told the managers, my managers were like, well, we can't stop selling it. I go, what, do you think people won't come in?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
You're like,
They'll
that's fine.
keep coming in.
Yeah, we don't need
And
it.
there was other beer that we can sell.
Yeah.
And
Other shitty, cheap beer.
yes. and I said,
Fucking dime a
and I
dozen.
said,
Yeah.
you make sure to tell them. I just should have given her a sweatshirt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't
So-
cost them anything.
No. Do you know how many
kind of
times?
shit that's like sitting in their trunk all
Oh.
the time?
Do you know how
all
many
the
times I
time.
asked for that sweatshirt?
No, they had one in.
Well,
they had
you
run
should
in
have
the
only
truck.
had
I'm
to
sure.
ask once.
I know.
Yeah, no
I know.
kidding.
And so, it's really hard to know, was that because I'm a woman, because somebody was just really forgetful,
Yeah.
and then the next rep was really forgetful, and the one after that?
Yeah.
You really don't know
Yeah.
sometimes as a woman. Like I can ask myself, well, what did it mean when they wouldn't sell me beer?
Right.
But I said it to a guy about a year ago that's one of the really awesome reps, and I told him that story, and he goes, I'm not that kind of guy. and I go, can you explain what kind of guy? Like, why were they doing it? And he goes, no, I don't really know. And he
I can't
knew,
speak to that.
But he knew, but some guy will tell me
It's-
someday
it's-
what it means.
I think men get really uncomfortable because it's no one wants to say that they're wrong or that you know what I mean? Like any and that's the reason why women didn't ever want to say cop up to being a feminist, It's because
Right.
for the exact same reason. It's like men's fragile egos can't handle a woman being in power or like an empowered woman or
Yeah.
you know what
Well,
it's
I'm
just-
sorry, look at Hillary. I mean,
No kidding.
the most qualified person to ever run
I know.
loses
Yeah.
to the most unqualified.
It's maddening. It's truly, truly
Oh
maddening.
my God. That just broke my heart.
That broke our hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
And-
absolutely
and
it
I
did.
think mine's still broken from it a
Yeah.
little
Oh,
bit,
me too.
right?
It was
Yeah.
that was a tough one for sure, and I think that we were living
were
and working
here.
in this neighborhood, and we felt a lot of camaraderie with the people that we worked with and our friends and everyone, and obviously that's not the case in everywhere in our country because that's why she lost, but
Right.
that was a tough
and,
one.
there were a lot of Bernie people that just didn't vote or voted for
Yeah.
Trump
I think,
too. We
I
have
think
to
that's
remember
the thing
that.
that made me really
Yeah.
angry. The most angry.
Because they just
Yeah.
couldn't accept that she would be a good president. They
And-
weren't going to vote for her either.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that was
That's
totally.
really what sealed the deal.
Yeah, no
it
kidding.
is.
And we had a lot
It's-
of Bernie friends too that were like, nope, I'm voting Jill Stein. Like,
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So it's I don't remember the percentages, but a good amount voted for Jill Stein, a good amount didn't vote, and a good amount voted for Trump. So I don't know what those numbers are, but whether it's 5%, 10% of Bernie supporters
Yeah.
did one of those three things.
Yep.
That through the election when you know how many votes.
Right.
And I am also of the age where I remember when I had the same sort of friends that voted for Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, don't, please,
Yeah.
don't. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Gore's going to win. No, it's not necessarily true. And
Right.
granted, it didn't, it happened in Florida, not here. And you can say the same thing about those Bernie voters that didn't vote for Hillary. But it happened because it's the same sort of person
Sure.
in whatever
Yeah,
state
yeah.
that did it.
Yeah, yeah.
And those Nader voters were the ones in Florida.
Shot
so
us in the foot.
they did. And can you imagine if Gore would have become president, where we would be on climate change?
No.
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
No
Right.
kidding.
Seriously.
Absolutely. And, that matters far more to people your age. It matters to me, but I'm probably going to be gone when the most horrible things happen.
Yeah.
And for your people your age
Yeah.
and the ones at your age that are having children,
Yeah.
Yep.
oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's a scary thought for sure. And
So I
it's real.
really do think about that a lot, how different it would have been if Gore won.
Yeah.
And what would have happened if Hillary won,
Yeah.
And I try
We
to
would not be where we are right now.
oh my gosh.
absolutely, in both of those cases.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was people on our team that threw the vote off.
Right.
Because the other people that were going to vote for Bush or the idiots that voted for Trump, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And thank God Biden won.
Oh my gosh.
Or wait, we think he won.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I do know simple math, so I feel like he probably won.
We think he won, and we're excited, and we're really excited about Kamala.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That's the
Yeah.
the thing that
So
makes me
exciting.
so happy.
Absolutely.
So exciting.
What an incredible.
I've been talking about this the last few days with my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hi, Pam.
Hi, Pam. It's like I want to keep Kamala and Biden very, very separate right now because what's happening in DC is fucking terrifying.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Truly.
And I don't want to lose both Biden and Harris.
Oh my
so I
God.
hope to God that they're keeping them separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is very real. Like
It is very real.
It's very scary.
And I listened to a professor, she was on, maybe it was on CNN, she's a professor at, I don't know if it was Harvard, it was one of the top schools,
Sure.
yesterday, they asked her, do you think that this was the end of something just because of, Trump losing, or the middle, or is this the beginning of something? And she said, oh, this is just the beginning. And that's really
That's a
terrible.
scary thought.
Yeah, but they've ignored the signs of
absolutely.
of this happening
Yeah.
for years and years and years. So, but yeah, summer of 1984, I was traveling in Europe with some friends, and at that time, you would have to find a payphone, figure out how it worked, depending on what country you were in.
Yeah.
You call your parents and say, "I'm still alive."
Yeah.
Sure.
Because
yeah.
you do the backpack trip where you're like, gone
yeah.
for a couple of months,
Right.
and
Hostels maybe.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
yep. And I remember I wore my black high-top Converse sneakers everywhere.
Love it.
And
It's a great travel shoe.
it
is,
really
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Right? And anyway, I'm in Paris, walking around with my friends, and we see a newsstand, and the cover of Time magazine had a woman on the cover, and she didn't look like a movie star. She looked like just a woman, and it stopped me in my tracks because it was so unusual to see a woman on the cover of Time magazine. And I looked at it, and it said that this was Geraldine Ferraro, and she was running for vice president. And remember, we didn't get the news.
Yeah.
It's not like
Right.
today's world, right?
Your phone wasn't dinging in your pocket.
And
Yeah.
I just started wiping away tears.
Oh,
I was just
beautiful.
blown away. And I thought, oh my God, I hope that she wins. But my thought right after that was, it's starting.
Yeah,
It's starting for women. There's a woman candidate for vice president.
it's a big deal.
Hi, that was 1984. How many
Yeah.
years later did
Yeah.
we have Sarah Palin?
Oh, man.
Was it 30 years?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Close
like
to
what that was like
30?
2.
Because wasn't Hillary like 36 years or so? I mean, you guys,
Yeah.
you know, like I had so many young women say, why is Hillary so important? And, like, I've been waiting a really long time.
Yeah,
And so
Yeah.
no kidding.
and from 84 to whenever it was that Sarah Palin ran,
Yeah.
it was a really long time. And,
Yeah.
and of course, how, you know, Sarah Palin, what?
Well, yeah.
You know, so, but just to feel
Wah,
like,
wah.
as a woman in
Yeah.
the 80s, to feel like, oh my God, it's beginning.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
probably a very hopeful and exciting just moment.
And
you
it
know?
wasn't beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. So, yeah, have you watched Mrs. America?
It's on my list. I haven't watched it yet, but it's definitely on my list.
So
I have
when
so
you-
many on my list.
So when you watch it, think
It's
of,
on Hulu, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
when you watch
have
it,
Hulu.
think of me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all about feminism in the 70s
Okay.
and Gloria Steinem, who's a huge hero.
Oh,
Yeah.
And,
she's the best.
Yeah.
and you'll imagine as you're watching it that I was a teenager and following all this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
This was
And-
your formative years. Right.
Bingo. Absolutely.
And gave you the foundation of who you are and as a business owner and
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
right.
kind of made me a punk. Like I really
Yeah.
I watched that show and last summer and I thought I had to stop it a couple times and like wipe away tears
Yeah.
because
I bet.
my mom and I used to talk about feminism a lot.
Yeah.
She got me a subscription to Ms. Magazine.
Yeah.
And Gloria Steinem was one of her heroes, but she was a housewife. She didn't work, you know, and so she was always kind of whispering, "Go, Linda, go," you
Yes.
know.
I love it.
And so
Moms are the best.
watching that show was bringing back all these memories about my mom and I, like secretly talking about feminism because my dad would come home and we had to zip, you
Yeah.
know, conversation over.
Wow.
yeah.
That's incredible. What a
Oh.
special thing, though. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a time when, you know, my dad didn't teach me to play chess. He taught my brother because, you know, only boys.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff. I couldn't wear dresses. I mean, I'm sorry, I couldn't wear pants to school till I was in 10th grade. It was the law.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even when
Yeah.
we
Can
were,
you imagine? Like,
when
that's
we were
just so fun.
teenagers,
That's crazy.
So that's why, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not that long ago.
There's
Yeah.
still schools that
Yeah.
won't let girls wear pants.
Well, that's silly.
It's a Catholic
But
school.
they might be private schools. But this was
Yeah.
public,
Yeah,
yeah.
public
Oh.
school.
Oh gosh.
No, this was public school.
Yeah.
This was across the country. Girls weren't allowed to wear our pants to school. We didn't have PE with boys. There were barely any.
Which, honestly, I don't
I
want to do
wouldn't
PE
mind
with
that.
boys.
It was fine with me too.
Stinky.
Yeah.
It was fine with me. We didn't have after school sports for girls.
Yeah.
Which is still a problem.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, so it just was.
Just like co-ed, you know.
And also in 1973, well, I guess it was 72. It was my first year of high school. There was a girl that got pregnant and she had to go away because
Yeah.
abortion wasn't legal.
Right.
So I actually saw that. So that was that's part of my passion for reproductive rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that I saw that happen,
Yeah.
and that really shaped something in me.
Sure.
You know, or I guess, okay, wait a minute. I saw that happen, and it really it brought up something in me about the control that men have that make the decisions for women's bodies, and the shame for that around getting pregnant at that time and having to go away. You know, there was no option, or having an illegal abortion.
Right.
And, you know, the risks around that. But I'm sure that girl was 15,
Right.
Sure.
living in the suburbs of Denver. I don't know where she would have, how she would have known what to do.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a really defining moment for me. So having Roe v. Wade pass and Planned Parenthood accessible
Yeah.
was huge for and still Planned Parenthood is
Planned Parenthood was the
Huge.
first
Oh my
nonprofit
gosh.
I ever donated money to.
Really?
And I
Yeah.
still do, and
Oh,
I have a
we need
very
them, yeah.
strong connection with Planned Parenthood. I think that they're doing incredible work.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love Planned Parenthood.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I was really lucky as a teenager. My high school had, in their, like, the nurse's office was actually a Planned Parenthood.
Oh, that's right. You've
That was
told
the
me that,
first
yeah.
time. I don't think that they ever
Really?
did it again. But yeah, Nathan Hale High School, they had
Wow.
a Planned Parenthood in the high school, and it was fucking great.
That's
It was
amazing.
awesome.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
they just, I mean, that's what young people need.
Yeah, right.
You
It
know,
should- it should be.
education,
Yeah.
someone to talk to,
Yeah.
access, you know, that's all
Yes.
young people need.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And education.
Education, yeah.
Yeah.
Real education.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, and the scary
Yeah.
thing is so many places in our country now, I mean, there's still at least the stigma, if not, you know, they don't have access to these things, or it's illegal, whatever, you know, it's just,
well, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
it's
So
very scary.
let's see what happens with
Yeah.
you know, control of the Senate.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
we're all
and the
just-
House and Kamala and Biden.
Yes.
I'm gonna stay hopeful.
Yes, yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
we
really-
have to
Yes,
be,
we do.
right?
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have to be. I mean, that was so exciting to see what happened in Georgia,
Oh my gosh.
right?
I
Yeah.
know. And that's the thing too, is this, like we were kind of talking about earlier, this year has been just a crazy whirlwind of stuff, but also we just have been getting these little like bloops
Has
of
to be a silver lining.
or just like hopeful moments or happy moments that you know, it's like there's been a lot of good things to be hopeful about right now.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can all just kind of remain calm and you know,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
stick together and
we've got more to get through for sure.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that there are a lot of things to feel hopeful about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hopeful time for sure, and we all just need to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did we go off on my
Speak-
my feminist passions?
I
Like,
love
this
it.
Is
This is all we could have ever wanted and more. Trust me.
Let's at least address. I mean, it has been a really, really crazy year for everybody.
Sure.
And especially the restaurant industry has suffered a lot
Yes.
this year, for
Yes.
sure. So how has COVID changed? I mean, how many businesses do you have currently?
I have 3.
Okay.
At the beginning of COVID, I had 4. A few years ago, I had 7, and altogether, I've had 13, I think.
Man,
Yeah.
that's so badass.
lady.
I love it.
And
So currently you have
Linda's, King's, Oddfellows.
Oddfellows, right.
And we don't know when Little Oddfellows will
Yeah.
open again. So Linda's and King's are currently open. Oddfellows will reopen at the end of February, beginning of March.
Okay.
Okay.
I felt like we needed to shut down. I mean, we were losing so much money. It was cheaper to be closed,
Yeah.
quite honestly.
Yeah.
And so we just thought we would take a breather and
Yeah.
get ready to reopen in the spring.
That's great.
A lot of people have been doing that.
Yes,
and
they are.
It's just, I feel so bad that this has been such a hard hit for everybody
Oh
in this
my God.
industry.
So many people we care about,
heartbreaking
and
to me.
you know, it's just it's affected a lot of our dear friends and
Yeah.
not so dear friends, and just so many people in this community of restaurant and bar workers that we deeply care about. It's
Yeah.
it's been
It's been
yeah,
tough.
it's been a tough one for sure.
So how
Yeah.
has this changed? I mean, like, cross our fingers that everything, we just get on the up and everything's gonna be okay. But like,
Yeah.
how have you had to shift things.
You know, like how many times have we pivoted?
Yeah, our favorite
million.
word of 2020.
I
it
know,
is.
right? The word of 2020. Yeah. that, well, you know, we. I don't know. It was, you know, in the beginning of March, we started realizing we were probably going to have to close. And I was in Kenya in February.
Ooh, rad.
Yeah, it was amazing. I feel so grateful that I got to go on that trip.
Yeah.
I went on a little safari
Cool.
and
Fun.
saw amazing animals, and then went to the coast of Kenya for 4 days. And who knew that the coast of Kenya is full of Italians on vacation?
Oh,
I didn't know
interesting.
that.
Me either. But Italy was shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first couple days, there were quite a few people, but by the third day, they were mostly gone. They were trying to get out of there
Wow.
as fast as they
Oh,
could to get back
interesting.
to Italy
Okay.
because only part of Italy was shut, and they were worried that they were going to get trapped
Yeah,
and,
that was a
and
big
not be able to
concern.
Not
get
be
back
able to
in.
get home. Yeah.
So we started paying attention to the news because first 10 days we weren't paying attention to the news
Yeah.
at all because we didn't have that much internet, and
Yeah,
it
you're
was
on
gr-
vacation.
It was
Sure.
great.
Yeah. Unplug.
Yeah, and so I felt like I made it home in the nick of time, partly because I needed to deal with what was happening with our businesses.
Sure.
Right.
I couldn't come home on March 14th, from being in Africa, and
Yeah.
and so anyway, we started making plans, knowing that we were going to shut down at a certain point, and I remember looking at our financial situation and going, okay, we've got enough cash that we can be closed for, I think, 12 to 16 weeks, and be able to
Be okay.
be okay.
Yeah.
And this is before we had any idea of
Sure.
what
Oh,
the
yeah.
government was going to do.
Right.
and
It was like 2 weeks and then
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
4 weeks.
And
A year.
but I was like, okay, and worst comes to worst, 16 weeks. And,
Sure.
we are coming up on a year.
Yeah.
And which is mind blowing. So, we were able to get PPP. Thank
Yeah.
That's great.
God. We were.
That's great. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people were having some issues
Yeah.
getting PPP.
Yep. So we were able to get PPP, and then, I believe it was the beginning of April. Yeah, beginning of April, we started selling cocktails to go and food to go. We
Yeah.
opened Linda's and King's to do these, like, we called them burger pop-ups,
Yeah.
and selling drinks to go. Because, man, when they first said you can sell drinks to go, we were like, what?
Yeah,
This is
everybody-
cool.
This is different.
That is really cool. And
It's
so
like
we
the only cool thing the Washington Liquor Board has ever
I-
done.
Yeah,
exactly,
seriously.
exactly. So we jumped right on that.
Yeah.
And Oddfellows opened again, doing some being partially opened, but then CHOP happened.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I
we
don't know why that
made
didn't
sure.
occur to me.
Yeah.
Your Oddfellows is on
Yes.
is in the zone where all the protests and stuff were happening.
Yep.
Right.
For,
So
for CHOP.
we had to close. We tried to stay open a little bit, and it just wasn't working, and the employees were all scared, and
Yeah.
it was just awful.
At a certain point, you have to make that decision,
Yeah.
on top of the other decision. Yeah.
It started out hopeful, and then it was,
It changed.
it changed.
Went a little off the rails. Yeah.
So we had to close, and then we started to reopen again in, oh God, what was it, in July maybe? Whenever CHOP ended, we reopened, and we partially reopened, and then we built a patio outside in the street,
Awesome.
and we were actually doing kind of, we weren't anywhere near breaking even, but it was getting better
Yeah.
and better, and then by November, we were close to breaking even.
Awesome.
But then, and we were partially open inside, and we've got the high ceilings and big windows.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, with the shutdown again, it just, and, quite honestly, a lot of people telling us they were afraid to come to the neighborhood. We weren't doing much business at night.
Yeah.
Again, we're so close to the park.
Right.
So we just decided to close.
Yeah.
Linda's and King's, they're holding their own. We're partially open, and and we built a big streetery in front of King's because we built it in front of Rudy's as well.
Right.
And
I heard that there's a lot of places in Ballard that they like have been taking over streets,
Yes.
full streets in Ballard just
boy,
to do the
Ballard
patios.
Avenue. Ballard Avenue is a one-way now, and there are tons of streeteries,
That's
and they've
great.
got little twinkly lights strung up everywhere in all the trees.
Cute.
It really looks and feels good. It feels
Yeah.
really
Should
vibrant.
just make myself go down there.
Yeah, you know what? You'll go. I'm coming back again soon because
Yeah.
it feels a lot more hopeful than Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Cool.
Really?
A lot. Oh my God, it feels.
It's
It's
yeah.
like feels 10 times better than
Yeah.
Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
I love
Okay.
it over there. I lived over there
I'll
for
go
a
down
few
there.
years. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it
needs
just.
to just be semi-normal. It's like really hard to just be semi-normal
Yeah.
right now.
But it really is a combination of having so many people have their streeteries
Yeah.
built out, and so there's this feeling, this real neighborhood feeling that's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
great.
Community.
Feeling, and then all the lights and lots of people walking around.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Pike Pine and downtown Seattle have gotten a really bad reputation. There are a lot of people I know that are very afraid to come to this neighborhood
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. That's
bad.
too bad. I mean,
Yep.
I can see. Yeah, you hear things or you get something in your head. I get it.
You,
Like
live
it happens.
in,
Yeah.
You live in Finney, and you hear
Mhm.
that Pike Pine's scary, and
Yeah.
why bother to find out? There's
Yeah.
plenty of other
Why
neighborhoods
bother
to go
and-
to.
Come find a parking spot over
My
here
mom,
anyway. you
yeah.
know?
My mom
Yeah.
is a real estate stager, and she's had more than one client that was selling their house because they were moving out of Seattle because they were too scared.
Seriously?
gosh.
Jeez.
These were like people that live in Mercer Island.
Well,
Right.
okay.
Right.
That's
Whatever.
For all those non-Seattleites, that's rich people town.
Yeah.
A lot of people are moving out of Seattle.
Yeah.
But I think that they're maybe going back to, well, I read someplace Idaho is very popular because they're from Idaho.
I've
so
heard
they're
that
going,
Right.
too.
people are going to move back near family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even kind of, I don't know, small town living just kind of seems, at a certain point or when things are crazy, it just seems a bit more appealing to
Yeah.
a certain person. And I get that. I just spent a couple weeks in Whitefish, Montana, and I want to move there now. I'm like,
Wow.
it's so easy and small here. There's some Trumpers, but everyone's
Don't
just
worry,
nice to
I'm
each
not
other.
letting her do that. I'm not letting you do that.
I'm like, but I'm just saying, like, I understand the appeal to move to
Yeah.
just a smaller town because, things are just different these days, and I love things about the city, and I love things about all sorts of different places. But I can see the appeal for sure. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are making that
I
change.
think it's a lot of like comfort zone things right now, right? It's just
Absolutely.
Like, it's almost like sucking your thumb or a pacifier
Yeah.
type of situation. It's like every night I'm going to eat mac and cheese and cookies, and then I need a quiet
Yeah.
place to just be by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just
Yeah.
have like
People are
nature.
scared.
Yeah.
Like the ability just
Yeah.
to go for a bike ride or go skiing or that kind of thing. It just,
Yes.
seems
Sounds
appealing.
Great.
oh, I just went last week. It was lovely.
Where'd you go?
We went up to White Pass. My brother runs all the ticketing and everything up there, so we can
Fun.
go for free. So we like it up there. It's very small, but that's what we
Yeah.
like about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Well,
lovely.
I sold my house here as soon as, as soon as COVID hit because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I had a
Yeah.
Oh, did
condo.
you really? Wow.
Yeah, I sold my condo in April and moved into an apartment.
Oh.
But I had just
Are you
bought-
still in Seattle?
Yeah, I live downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Scary downtown.
I lived down there for about a
How
year. Yeah.
scary is it?
Not at all. I
No,
mean,
it's just
I
it's,
live.
it's quiet, is what it is. Like
Yeah.
at night, it's
Yes,
weirdly
especially
quiet.
now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty
Yeah,
quiet now.
I live down by the sculpture park.
Cool.
Right
Yeah.
down by the water.
Awesome.
And have a really pretty view of the water. And I'm in an apartment, and I'm moving to an even smaller apartment in a few months in my building, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get really small in Seattle. I actually had bought an apartment in New York. I've had an apartment in New York since 2001.
Oh wow.
And I changed. I sold one, and I bought another one, and it closed in February. So, that could have been horrifying. Like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
in hospitality, and our
Right.
industry is,
Decimated.
Yeah.
Right.
However, you know, it's small, and I sold my house here, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know, instead of going to a small town,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be
Opposite.
going east, heading east in a few years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Saying goodbye
exciting.
to Seattle, huh?
Maybe
al-
part-time, or what
Yeah,
are you
part
thinking?
time. I've had a place there since 2001, so
Yeah.
I've been, I love New York.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I'll be gone by 2 years.
Cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
fully gone. Yeah, I mean that's my
Your goal.
and
Yeah.
I'm stating it right now.
I
My,
love
Yes,
it.
there you go.
My goal
Intention.
is to
It's out there. The
to-
universe
yeah.
has taken over.
I mean, I'll come and take care of business, but I mean, the company will be even smaller by then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've been working for 47 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really long time.
Yeah, you've
Sure.
been a very busy
since-
woman.
Since Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, seriously. Very busy
Yeah.
woman.
And I've
Yeah.
always known I wanted to retire in New York.
Awesome.
You know, there's just a lot of stuff I like to do, and it sounds like kind of a funny thing to think about. And I mean, when I say retire, again, it doesn't mean like golf and tennis.
Sure.
You know, I I think the better way to put it is sort of move away from hospitality into what's next,
Yeah.
and whatever what's next is.
Sure.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily want it to be something that I have to monetize. It might be learning to speak Spanish and become a better, like really learn how to use my camera. I
Cool.
really like photography, and
Oh,
I feel like
awesome.
I need to. I really want to become a better photographer, and who knows what else. Like I bought a pair of roller skates.
Yes, I love it.
And they're at my place in New York.
Awesome.
And I have a friend who's around my age that also has roller skates.
Perfect.
That's
You got a
great.
buddy.
So we're gonna
you're
be
set.
like these two like middle-aged ladies out falling on our asses.
I love it.
With our roller skates on.
That's gonna be perfect.
That sounds like a ton of fun.
Well, it sounds fun, and
I
it sounds like a good
know.
reason to just have some laughs and you feel silly and have a good time.
I think so. So anyway, but there's just a lot of stuff I like to do.
Yeah.
I like to do there. So
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean I don't love Seattle. It's a
Yeah.
great place, but I think that sometimes when you've lived someplace for a really long time, it's just
Yeah.
time to
Time to
pick
move
up
on.
and
Yeah.
make a change, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and-
It's
and to
definitely
im-
been the year of change. So.
Yeah.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
you certainly
Gearing
have
up for
put your stamp on things around here, and made some really really cool places for us to
Oh,
hang out and eat and
yeah.
drink. So
Thank
you
you.
certainly won't be gone in that way.
Yeah. Right.
No, and I mean, I hope Linda's is going to be around for, God, I don't know, forever.
I think it will be.
Forever.
I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
out there and say I think it will be.
Yeah. So no,
It's
it's,
a
not like I
staple.
want to, sell off everything.
Yeah.
But, the company will get
Yeah.
smaller, but Linda's, I have just such a special place
Yeah.
in my heart for.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Me
well,
too.
and yeah, we need Linda's. Yeah, we do.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a very important part of this neighborhood in this city. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
just leave it there.
Yeah.
Don't take her
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we do have to start wrapping things up, but we were
Yep.
hoping that you might be a good sport and play a super quick little game with us.
Oh.
We try
It's-
to do little fun games.
We like to end
for
with
all
a
of our-
game. And we make up a game depending on the person. So it's always a different game. And it doesn't mean anything. But we wanted you to create your dream kickball team out of some people that you might know. So we're going to name off a couple people.
Okay.
You just have to pick one or the other. There's 5 groups of them. All start. Okay, so on your dream kickball team, are you choosing either Mark Lanigan from the Screaming Trees or Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains?
Flanagan.
Okay.
That was quick.
Whiskey for
Love
the
it.
Holy Ghost is one of my favorite albums.
love it.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay, Renee, you go.
Okay, Chris Novoselic of
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana, or Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam.
Oh, Eddie.
Oh,
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, next one, Buzz Osborne from the Melvins or Tad Doyle from
Tad.
Okay, cool.
Oh my God, when Linda's first opened, Tad was there a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
Haven't
Yeah.
seen him for a long time, but yes.
All right,
Yeah.
Tad.
maybe you should reach out.
Tad, come have a beer at Linda's. Okay.
Okay, Mark Arm from Mudhoney or Mike McCready Pearl Jam.
Oh God, that's really
It's a hard
hard.
one. Well, you might need an extra player. I don't know. No.
I mean,
Kickball.
Who's gonna be better at kickball? Just
Let's just
strictly.
go with Mike McCready.
Okay, he's better at kickball. I have, perfect.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
All right. Okay. So last one for your final kickball team player is Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses or Dave Grohl from.
So I want to know, why are
several.
these all dudes? Why am I playing kickball with all men?
Well, we were just
ladies.
we actually sourced out
That's true too.
this. We were coming up with people, and we sourced out, to what your brother.
My brother Josh. He was on this.
We asked her
podcast.
brother Josh to come up with people, and so this is who
So
he
came up with, yeah.
It's just who he came up with, and we
So
thought
then-
that it was funny. So
Let's have a bonus of what ladies would you like on your kickball team?
Let's see. Okay. Well, okay, hang on. I have to.
Oh,
okay,
that's true.
Duff or
Duff-
Dave?
Yeah.
Duff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually just
He
listened
seems
to Duff
spirited.
McKagan tell a story on The Moth. I don't know if you listened to The Moth podcast or Radio Hour at all. Yeah, it was really great. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can just look it up like on your podcast thing, The Moth. It's just people telling stories, but he told a story about him as a younger person, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'll look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, give us at least two ladies that
Okay.
you would have as your star kickball players.
Well, I know who I would want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Who?
Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird.
Oh, okay.
Are
Fine.
you
yes.
kidding? Yeah.
I love that. Wait, I want them.
Right?
I want to be on that team.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, thank you so much. That was fun, and we just like to add a little something silly at the end. So thank you for being a good sport.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I'm really
absolutely.
glad,
Yeah,
yeah.
this was really great to get to know you a little bit, and we wish you all of the luck in the entire world, and we
Yeah.
will continue to,
Support you.
support your
Everybody
your
go
businesses.
support Linda's
Thank
Tavern.
you.
We
Odd
love them.
Fellows,
Yeah,
King's
Kings and
Hardware,
Ballard.
and hopefully Little Odd Fellows soon.
Yes, I hope so too.
Yeah. It's such a complicated world.
Yes, it is.
And then also shout out to Paquitos for letting us record in their atrium again. This beautiful space. They have the garage doors are open. It's open air. It feels very, very safe.
It does. It's super cool in here. Definitely check them out. Come eat vivapoquitos.com to see their
Yeah.
hours and that kind of thing. Support them too.
Yeah. Shout out to Liz Elkins for helping us out today.
Yes, we love you, Liz.
We're gonna get that Al Pacino second
We're getting it soon.
impression real soon.
Don't worry,
It's gonna
folks.
Be great.
She's like, I don't know. Well, thank you for listening, friends, and we really, really, really appreciate you and taking the time to spend a little,
Time
moment with us.
Yeah. Download, subscribe, and like us on Instagram. Also, I'm trying to do YouTube, so check that out.
We're
if
working
you
on
want to.
YouTube.
It's hard, but try it.
We're
Okay.
figuring it out.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye.